It was the man's first day on the job when he noticed something terrifying, a ticking time bomb hidden inside a suitcase. David was instantly gripped by fear, but then a voice came through his earpiece. He didn't dare make a sound. All he could do was quietly watch as the man with the suitcase walked away. That morning had started out like any other. David had just arrived at work when a female passenger handed in a lost earpiece. As David headed to the lost and found, he suddenly received a strange, chilling text message. At first, he thought it was just some kind of prank, but the moment he put the earpiece on, a man's voice came through. The voice said coldly, "In a moment, someone will pass through security with a suitcase. If you do nothing, your wife lives." At the same time, armed intruders had broken into his home. Judging by how much they knew about his personal life, it was clear this wasn't random. These people had planned everything. David had no choice but to follow their orders. While pretending to comply, David discreetly tried to call the police. But the kidnappers were watching. The second they noticed, they threatened him over the earpiece, warning him to hang up. One of them was already pointing a gun at his wife. David had no choice. Trembling, he hung up the phone. The kidnappers then ordered him to lock his phone in a storage cabinet. But David wasn't about to give up. Thinking fast, he used his smartwatch to secretly record their conversation and sent the audio to a colleague. But once again, the kidnappers caught on. That's when David realized the kidnappers had eyes on him. They were watching his every move through the security cameras. As he kept talking to the voice in his ear, David carefully started gathering clues. Then, he noticed something. A man nearby was eating, and the sound of his chewing perfectly matched the background noise he'd been hearing through the earpiece. David had found him. Just then, a passenger noticed David zoning out. Thinking quickly, David pretended to inspect the passenger's luggage. Shielded by the suitcase, he scribbled a note and secretly handed it to a coworker, asking them to alert a supervisor. But before the coworker could get far, a man bumped into him. Moments later, the coworker collapsed to the ground. The attacker quickly scooped up the coworker's boarding pass and disappeared into the crowd. News of the mysterious death spread rapidly throughout the airport. Shortly after, the man behind the plot approached David and disturbingly complimented him on his counter-surveillance skills. Meanwhile, police arrived at another crime scene. A notorious crime boss had been found dead in his own home under bizarre circumstances. When officers inspected his belongings, they discovered a hidden recording device inside his watch. The recorder contained an entire day's worth of conversations. While parts of the audio were corrupted, investigators clearly heard critical words: David, airport, and even more alarming, biochemical bomb. Will the kidnappers ultimately be caught? And can David survive this deadly game? Find out in the next episode.